The fluorescent light above your hospital bed hums like a swarm of flies. You blink, disoriented, your throat dry, your tongue tasting of metal. The world smells of disinfectant and fear. A woman in a white uniform adjusts the IV tube in your arm without meeting your eyes. You try to ask what happened, but your voice comes out a whisper. Where am I? She glances toward the door, then leans closer. You're in St. Mary's General. You were in an accident, she says quickly, almost rehearsed. Then her voice drops to a tremble. Please. Whatever they tell you to sign, don't do it. Not yet. Before you can ask who they are, she straightens up, her face suddenly blank, and walks out of the room as if the conversation never happened. You stare after her, heart thudding, trying to piece together fragments of memory. Rain on the windshield, a sharp turn, a flash of headlights. Then nothing. Your arm is bruised, wrapped in bandages. There's a monitor beeping steadily beside you, measuring every second you've been unconscious. Minutes later, the door opens again. A man steps in, tall, mid-40s, clean-shaven, wearing a white coat and a practiced smile that doesn't reach his eyes. His ID tag swings as he moves. Ah, you're awake. Good, good, he says, voice too cheerful for the sterile silence of the room. I'm Dr. Harper. You had quite a scare, but you'll be fine. He places a clipboard on your lap. The stack of papers looks thicker than a simple consent form. Just routine things, he says, tapping the top page. We need your signature so we can continue treatment and settle the paperwork. You'll want to get out of here soon, right? Something about the word routine makes your skin crawl. You glance down. The first page is a blur of medical terms, paragraphs of legal language, small boxes for initials. You try to focus, but the letters swim together. You lift your eyes to the doctor, who's already holding out a pen. Can I... You start, but your throat tightens. Can I read it first? Of course, he says lightly, though his jaw tenses. But it's all standard hospital procedure. You remember the nurse's voice, the urgency in her whisper. Don't sign. Why would she say that? Why warn a stranger? The doctor's smile doesn't waver, but he keeps glancing toward the door, as if waiting for someone. You flip through the pages. Each form ends with fine print about financial responsibility, power of representation, and something about mental incapacity. The words blur again. You press your fingers to your temple, trying to make sense of it. Harper takes a step closer. No need to strain yourself, he says softly. You've had a concussion. Trust me, this will help things move faster. Your pulse spikes. Faster for who? You notice his hand, too eager, too close, pointing at a specific line near the bottom. The pen glints under the harsh light. You set it down on the tray table, pretending not to see his subtle frown. I'd like to wait until I've spoken to my family, you say, steadying your voice. Your family? He repeats, tilting his head. You don't have any immediate family listed. Are you sure someone should be involved? That makes no sense. My sister, she should be here, you insist. Her name's Clara. She should have been called. Harper's smile falters for half a second, then returns. I'm sure the front desk made the appropriate calls. Rest, please. We'll revisit this later. He gathers the clipboard but doesn't take it far. Instead, he places it on the bedside cabinet within arm's reach, as if tempting you to sign once he leaves. Someone will check on you soon, he says, and walks out. The moment the door closes, you release a breath you didn't realize you were holding. You stare at the papers again, the inked lines waiting to trap your name. The nurse's warning echoes louder now, almost like a heartbeat. Don't sign those papers. Outside the window, rain streaks down the glass. You can hear faint laughter from another room, the squeak of rubber soles down the hall, the soft ding of an elevator. Life goes on, even while you lie here unsure whether you're the patient or the prey. You try to remember more. The accident. Yes, you were driving home from work late, phone buzzing with messages from your manager about the insurance documents you'd been processing. You'd felt dizzy at the wheel, or maybe something else. A strange smell inside the car? Gasoline? No, sweeter, almost chemical. Then blackness. A sound jolts you. The soft click of the door again. The same nurse enters, her face pale, eyes darting nervously. She checks the hallway before approaching. "They shouldn't have left you alone," she whispers. "I don't have much time." You sit up, ignoring the tug in your arm. "What's happening? Why shouldn't I sign?" She swallows hard. They did this before. People who come in alone, confused. They make them sign papers declaring they're unfit to handle their finances. Then someone becomes their legal guardian. It looks legitimate, but it's not. Please don't trust anyone until you see me again. Your mind spins. Why are you telling me this? Because... She hesitates, eyes glistening. Because it happened to my mother. A shadow passes across the doorway. She straightens instantly. "I have to go." Before you can say another word, she slips out again, leaving you with the weight of her confession. You press your palms to your face. A scam inside a hospital? It sounds impossible. Yet her fear felt real. You look at the name stitched on her uniform that flashed before she vanished. Mara. You whisper it under your breath like a prayer. Mara. The monitor beeps faster as your anxiety grows. You reach for the bedside cabinet, flip through the forms again, searching for anything that confirms her story. There, halfway down the second page, a clause granting temporary medical guardianship to an unnamed party, effective upon signature. No witnesses listed, no patient advocate mentioned. You feel cold all over. Footsteps approach. You shove the papers under the blanket and pretend to sleep. The door opens. This time, 2 nurses you haven't seen before enter. Their smiles are forced. "Vitals check," one says briskly. She glances at the clipboard, frowns when she doesn't find your signature. "Doctor said you were ready to finalize your discharge forms." "Not yet," you mutter. They exchange a quick look. The taller one writes something on her chart. "Doctor will be disappointed. He arranged your medication personally." The word medication lands heavily. "I'm fine," you say quickly. "I don't need anything else." She shrugs, that thin, polite smile fixed in place. "As you wish, but recovery takes cooperation." They leave, the smell of antiseptic following them. The instant the door clicks, you push the call button repeatedly, desperate to find Mara. The intercom crackles. "Yes, what do you need?" I need Nurse Mara. Please send her." Pause. Then, "There's no one by that name here, ma'am." Your hand freezes on the button. "What do you mean? She was just here." "Perhaps you're mistaken. Try to rest." The line cuts. The silence afterward feels thick enough to choke on. No nurse named Mara, no witness to her warning. Your thoughts twist into panic. Maybe she used a fake name. Maybe she's been fired. Maybe she never existed. You stare again at the clipboard, at the space waiting for your signature. Every instinct screams not to touch it. You pull your blanket tighter, glance at the IV tube, and realize something else. The liquid inside the bag is pale yellow, but the label is half torn, the writing smeared. You can only read part of a word, something, sedative, diuretic. You can't tell. You reach up to call the nurse again, but dizziness washes over you, heavy and sudden. Your vision tunnels. The room tilts. Someone must have changed the dosage. Your last clear thought before darkness rushes back is of Mara's trembling hand on your wrist, her whisper cutting through the fog. Whatever happens, don't sign. When you open your eyes again, it's darker outside. The clock on the wall reads 2:13 a.m. The hallway beyond your door is quiet, lights dimmed. You feel weaker, but sharper somehow. Adrenaline replacing confusion. The clipboard is gone. Your heart stutters. Did someone take it? You pull yourself upright, head spinning, and look around. A small folded note lies on your bedside tray. You unfold it with shaking hands. Room B12. Midnight. Bring no one. Signed simply, M. You check the clock again. Past midnight already. You slide your feet to the floor, cold tiles shocking you awake. The IV needle pulls, but you grit your teeth and ease it out, wrapping your arm in gauze from the drawer. Each movement makes your body protest, but curiosity, or survival, pushes you forward. You peek into the corridor. Empty. Only the low hum of machines fills the silence. You shuffle toward the elevator but notice it's out of service, so you take the stairs, one careful step at a time. At the basement level, the air smells damp, mixed with bleach. Old equipment lines the walls, wheelchairs, rusted stands, cardboard boxes labeled archive. You follow the narrow corridor until you see a faint light from behind a half-open door marked B12, Records. Mara stands inside, her uniform jacket draped over a chair. When she sees you, her shoulders relax with relief. "You came," she whispers. "I wasn't sure you'd wake up." "What is this place?" you ask, voice low. "The real hospital files," she says, glancing at the stacks of folders. "Everything they hide upstairs." You look around. Rows of shelves hold hundreds of patient records, many stamped deceased in red ink. She pulls one out and opens it to a page marked with your name. And there it is, your file, dated 3 days earlier. Next to your name, medical incapacitation, pending signature. You feel the floor tilt beneath you again, but this time from realization, not drugs. "They were going to declare you unfit," Mara says. "Once you sign, the doctor becomes your guardian. He gains control of your accounts. It's all covered by legal jargon. The patients never question it until it's too late." Your mouth goes dry. "How do you know this?" She hesitates. "Because he did it to my mother. She signed after her stroke. 2 months later, her house was sold. She died before she could fight back. I've been collecting proof ever since." You grip the edge of the table. The paper under your fingertips crinkles. Your name, your signature line still blank, the ink of your almost mistake. "What do we do now?" you whisper. She looks at you, eyes fierce despite her fear. "We expose them. But you have to stay alive long enough to tell someone outside." The hum of fluorescent lights returns, louder this time, like the world is listening. You realize the story has just begun, and every decision from here could mean freedom or a hospital bed you never leave again. You clutch the file to your chest, feeling its weight, proof that you're not crazy, proof that the whisper was real. The nurse was right. Those papers were a trap. And now, in the dim basement of St. Mary's, you know exactly what you're fighting. The file in your hands feels heavier than anything you've ever carried. You can hear your heartbeat echo through the concrete walls of the basement. The fluorescent light above flickers every few seconds, throwing everything into brief darkness. Mara stands beside you, her hands trembling. "They'll notice you're gone soon," she whispers. "We don't have long." You nod, forcing yourself to focus. The file has your name typed neatly across the top. Patient. Your full name. But underneath, in a bold header, it says something that makes your stomach twist. Guardianship. Pending approval by Dr. Harper. You flip through the pages. There are fake progress notes written in someone else's handwriting. Patient appears disoriented. Exhibits memory gaps. Recommends supervised consent. It's a detailed script of your condition, as if they were building a case to prove you couldn't make decisions for yourself. But I never said any of that, you whisper. They write it before they even meet you, Mara replies. You were chosen. Chosen? Her jaw tightens. They pick patients who come in alone. No family nearby, decent savings, insurance coverage. You're perfect for them. You feel dizzy again, but this time it's not from medicine. You clutch the edge of the metal table for balance. So they fake medical reports, get me to sign, and what? Take my money? Mara nods. The papers make the doctor your guardian. Once that's done, he can access your bank account, sell your property, anything. It looks legal. No one checks. You sink into a chair. The world around you feels like a bad dream. Why hasn't anyone stopped them? I tried, Mara says, but no one listens to a nurse. I started saving documents, copies of records, and photos. I've been waiting for the right case, someone who could fight back. Your throat tightens. You think that's me? She meets your eyes. Yes, because you haven't signed. Her voice cracks on the last word. You both flinch as the elevator dings upstairs. Someone's moving. You can hear faint footsteps echoing down the stairwell. Hide, she whispers. You slide behind a metal shelf, pressing yourself into the shadows. Through the gap, you see the basement door swing open. A flashlight beam slices across the room. Two voices murmur, one deep and calm, the other higher, nervous. She was supposed to be sedated, the first voice says. You recognize it instantly. Dr. Harper. I checked the dosage, says the second voice. Maybe her system metabolized it too fast. Then find her, Harper snaps, and make sure she signs before morning. I don't care how. The beam of light lingers for a moment before they leave. You wait until the door closes, until silence returns, before stepping out. Mara's face is pale as paper. They're looking for you, she says. We can't stay here. What about the files? She shakes her head. Too many. We take photos. Fast. You pull your phone from the gown pocket, hands shaking. Mara opens folders, flipping through pages while you snap pictures. Names, dates, death certificates, financial transfers. Dozens of victims. Elderly people. Young ones, too. Some marked recovered, others deceased. Then you find one that freezes your blood. Clara M., your last name. Your sister. You stare at the page. Date of admission, 6 months ago. Status, deceased. Cause, heart failure following routine surgery. Your voice comes out broken. Clara's not dead. Mara frowns. You said she was your sister? Yes, she lives 2 towns over. You grip the folder so tight it bends. This can't be real. Mara scans the page. Maybe they used her identity. Or maybe... She stops. Look at the signature at the bottom. Your stomach drops. It's Harper's signature again. He declared your sister dead on paper. You feel your whole body start to shake. The edges of the world blur with rage. He's not just stealing money. He's erasing people. Oh, Mara's voice trembles. We have to get this out before he finds us. You both start moving, but as you reach the basement stairs, a loud click echoes. The sound of the main lock above sliding shut. Harper's voice filters down through the air vent, calm and unhurried. You shouldn't have gone wandering, Miss Gibby, your last name. The sedatives can make people confused. You look up and see a shadow move past the small window in the stairwell door. He knows we're here. Mara grips your arm. There's another exit. Storage tunnel behind the archives. Follow me. You move quickly, ducking under pipes and wires, every sound magnified in the echoing corridor. The smell of mold grows stronger. Finally, she stops at a metal door with a faded red sign. Authorized personnel only. She punches a code into a keypad. 1985. And the lock releases with a hiss. How do you know this? You whisper. I used to work in maintenance, she says with a faint smile, before they demoted me for asking too many questions. The tunnel beyond is narrow, lined with electrical panels. You hear water dripping somewhere. You walk for what feels like forever until a faint light glows ahead, a service exit leading to the parking lot. But just as you reach it, voices echo behind you again. They're down here, Mara curses under her breath. Go, run! You stumble through the doorway into the cold night. Rain pelts your face. You can barely see the edge of the hospital lot. The gate is locked with heavy chains. Mara catches up, clutching a stack of papers. They'll call security, she gasps. We can't stay outside. They'll claim you escaped from psychiatric care. Your breath catches. Psychiatric? It's what they always do. They label anyone who questions them unstable. You'll disappear like the others. Lightning flashes, illuminating the drenched asphalt. You look back toward the hospital windows, dim, distant, impersonal. Somewhere inside, Harper is watching. You spot an ambulance bay door left half open. You both slip through. Inside, the room smells of fuel and disinfectant. A phone hangs on the wall beside a clipboard. You snatch it and dial 911 with trembling fingers. Emergency services. What's your situation? My name is your full name. I'm at St. Mary's Hospital. They're trying to make me sign fake medical papers. The line clicks. Dead. Mara's eyes widen. They control the phone lines. You drop the receiver. Then we need someone outside this place. Someone who'll listen. She thinks for a moment, then pulls a small key from her pocket. There's a locker in the old staff quarters. Room 204. It has everything I've saved. Photos, recordings, names. If anything happens to me, you take it to the police, promise me. You open your mouth to protest, but she grabs your hand hard. Promise me. I promise, you whisper. A door slams somewhere behind you. Shouts. Flashlights. This way! Mara pushes open a side door leading to a stairwell. You race upward, lungs burning, until you reach the second floor. The hallway is empty, lights buzzing overhead. You turn toward room 204. The door creaks open. Inside, the air is stale and dusty. Rows of metal lockers line the wall. She rushes to one, unlocking it with the small key. Inside are envelopes, flash drives, old cassette tapes labeled with dates and initials. Proof. Years' worth. She hands you a thick envelope. Keep this close. It's enough to bury them. Before you can reply, heavy footsteps echo in the hall. Harper's voice again, calm and patient, like always. Mara, I know you're in there. Don't make this worse for yourself. She looks at you, eyes glistening. Go out the window. There's a maintenance ledge. Follow it to the next wing. What about you? I'll distract them. Mara, go, she hisses. You climb onto the ledge, rain soaking through your gown. Below you, the parking lot glistens like black glass. You grip the cold metal rail and start edging along, one step at a time. You hear the door behind you burst open, Harper shouting, something crashing, then a scream, Mara's voice, short, cut off. You freeze, the wind whipping your face. For a moment you can't move. You want to go back, but footsteps are coming toward the window. You force yourself forward until you reach another open frame, duck inside and collapse to the floor. You're in a storage room filled with old medical equipment. The envelope is still clutched in your hand, wet but intact. You open it just enough to see what's inside. A USB drive, several photographs, and a list of names. Among them, your sisters. You whisper to yourself, "Hold on, Clara. I'll find you." The hallway outside is quiet again. You slip out, hugging the shadows. You can hear distant voices, security guards searching. You follow the glowing exit signs until you reach the main lobby. The night guard at the desk doesn't look up from his phone. You take a deep breath, straighten your posture, and walk toward the door like you belong there. For a second, it works. You're almost through when Harper's reflection appears in the glass. Going somewhere? You turn slowly. He's standing a few meters away, lab coat spotless, hands in his pockets. The same calm smile, but now his eyes are sharp, cold. "You've had a rough night," he says softly. "Let's get you back to your room." "I'm leaving," you say, trying to sound steady. He chuckles. "You're in no condition to make that decision. Remember what we talked about? The concussion, confusion. You're not thinking clearly." "I'm thinking clearly for the first time," you shoot back. He sighs. "You've signed nothing. That's a problem. We need your cooperation, or this becomes complicated." The guard finally looks up, uncertain. "Everything okay, doctor?" Harper flashes him a reassuring smile. "Patient got disoriented. We'll handle it." You take a step backward. "If you touch me, I'll scream." The guard hesitates. Harper's smile fades. "You don't want to do that." You meet the guard's eyes. "Call the police," you plead. "Please, they're stealing from patients." Harper's voice sharpens. "She's delusional. We've been treating her for paranoia." The guard shifts uneasily. Two versions of reality hang in the air, and you can see him deciding which one to believe. You reach into your gown and pull out the envelope. "Then explain this." You tear it open, spilling photos across the polished floor. Patient files, forged signatures, bank statements. The guard bends to pick one up, frowning. "What is this?" "Evidence," you say. "Look at the names." For the first time, Harper's calm cracks. "That's confidential material," he snaps. "She stole it from restricted storage." The guard looks between you and the papers. "Maybe we should call someone." "Yes," you whisper. "Call the police." Harper's eyes darken. He takes a step closer, voice dropping. "You have no idea what you're doing." You stare back. Neither do you. You forgot people can fight back. The tension breaks when the automatic doors slide open. Flashing blue lights fill the lobby. Someone must have seen the struggle on the security camera. Two officers rush in, weapons drawn. Harper raises his hands immediately. "Officers, thank God you're here. This woman is unstable. She broke into restricted areas and attacked staff." "She's lying," you interrupt. "Check the basement archives. Check everything." The officers exchange looks. One of them picks up a paper from the floor, scans it, then another. His expression hardens. "Dr. Harper, you want to explain why these signatures are all yours?" Harper opens his mouth, but no sound comes out. The second officer gestures toward you. "Ma'am, are you hurt?" You shake your head, tears mixing with the rainwater on your cheeks. "Just tired." Behind them, Harper lunges suddenly toward the desk, maybe reaching for the security button, maybe for something worse. But the officers are faster. They pin him to the ground, reading him his rights. You stand frozen, heart pounding, watching as the man who nearly stole your life is led away in handcuffs. The guard picks up one last photograph, a woman who looks a lot like Mara standing beside an older lady in a hospital bed. "Who's this?" he asks quietly. You take the photo, your throat tight. Her mother, the first one he took from. The weight of everything crashes over you at once. Fear, relief, grief. You sink onto a nearby chair and clutch the photo against your chest. For the first time all night you feel safe, but you also know it's not over. Someone helped you. Someone whispered when no one else would. And now she's gone. You close your eyes, hearing Mara's voice again in the dark. Don't sign those papers. The warning that saved your life. The next morning, you wake up not in the hospital bed, but in a police station waiting room. The light is softer here, not blinding white, but warm. Pale gold through dusty blinds. Your head throbs, your arm aches where the IV once was, but the silence feels clean. No monitors, no beeping machines, no whispers through vents. Just silence. A young officer offers you a cup of water. You should drink something, he says gently. You've been through a lot. You nod, hands trembling slightly as you take the cup. He sits across from you, a notebook open on his lap. We've already taken Dr. Harper into custody, he explains. He's claiming this was all a misunderstanding, but the documents you provided, he shakes his head, they tell a different story. You feel an exhausted kind of victory. What about Mara? You ask. The officer's pen pauses. The nurse? We're still looking for her. The hospital claims she resigned 2 weeks ago. You frown. That's not true. She was with me last night. He nods slowly. We'll check the security footage. He closes the notebook and stands. Detectives will want to speak to you soon. Try to rest. When he leaves, you stare at the wall clock, ticking quietly above the vending machine. Every second that passes feels like borrowed time. Harper's face, calm and smiling even while lying, still lingers in your mind. You wonder if people like him ever really sleep, or if they spend nights dreaming of new ways to disguise greed as care. The door opens again. A woman in a gray suit enters, her steps confident. Ms., your last name. I'm Detective Lena Ortiz. I'll be handling your case. You nod cautiously. Is he still denying everything? Oh, of course, she says with a bitter smile. Men like Harper never admit guilt until there's a mountain of evidence crushing them. Luckily, you brought one. You look down at the envelope still clutched in your hand. The edges are wrinkled now, but inside lies everything Mara risked her life for. Ortiz sits across from you, flipping open a tablet. I've gone through some of the photos you took in the basement. There's a pattern. Fake medical reports, forged signatures, and transfers to shell accounts. He wasn't working alone. There's someone higher, probably handling the money. Your pulse quickens. Who? We're not sure yet, but these signatures, she zooms in on the screen, include another name, Dr. Felton. He's the hospital director. If Harper's the face, Felton's the hands. A chill runs down your spine. So it's bigger than just one doctor. Ortiz nods grimly. Much bigger. You swallow hard. Then they'll try to bury it, or bury me. She studies you carefully. You're right, which is why you're not going home yet. What do you mean? We're placing you under temporary protection until the arrests are made. You'll be safe. A hotel under a false name, 2 plainclothes officers nearby, just until we finish gathering everything. You want to argue to say you're fine, but you remember Harper's cold eyes and Mara's scream in the hallway. You nod. Okay. That night, in the hotel room, you can't sleep. Every time you close your eyes, you see Mara's face, pale, desperate, brave. You keep wondering if she escaped, if she's out there somewhere hiding, or if Harper silenced her before the police arrived. The rain outside drums against the window like nervous fingers. You sit on the bed with the envelope open again, studying the documents. Among the files, there's a USB drive wrapped in tape. You plug it into the laptop the detectives gave you. Folders appear. Patients, recordings, transfers. You click recordings. The first file starts playing and your heart stops. It's Harper's voice. Yes, the new patient was admitted last night. No family listed. She'll be easy. I'll have her sign before morning. A second voice replies. Older, smooth, confident. Make sure it's clean this time. The last case drew too much attention. Understood, Dr. Felton. You paused the audio, hand shaking. This was it. The missing link. Proof that Harper wasn't acting alone. You scroll through the rest of the recordings. Hours of conversations, whispered exchanges, even phone calls. Harper and Felton discussing assets, accounts, and liquidation schedules. Each one darker than the last. One file catches your eye. Project Dawn. Audio 3. You press play. Harper again, voice hushed but excited. The nurse is asking too many questions. Felton's reply is ice cold. Then handle it like the others. The room feels smaller, the air heavier. Mara. They'd been planning her fate even before that night. You cover your mouth to stop the sob from escaping. She knew what was coming and still helped you. You whisper her name. Mara, I'm sorry. The next morning, Detective Ortiz calls. We listen to the recordings. We're issuing a warrant for Dr. Felton's arrest. You did the right thing coming forward. Did you find Mara? You ask immediately. A pause. Not yet, but we found her locker, the same one you described. It was emptied before we arrived. You close your eyes. Then she's alive. Maybe. But she's running from dangerous people. If she contacts you, tell us immediately. Promise? You promise. After the call, you stare out the window. Down below, the city looks normal. People walking dogs, cars passing by, cafes opening for the morning crowd. None of them know that, just a few miles away, in a clean white hospital, people were being erased for money. The contrast feels unbearable. You open the envelope again, taking out one of the patient lists. There are more than 30 names, many marked deceased. You wonder how many of them really died, and how many were simply declared gone to make room for someone else's profit. You decide something right then. You're not just going to survive this, you're going to end it. 2 days later, Ortiz arrives at the hotel with grim news. Felton's gone. His house is empty, his office too. He must have known we were coming. You grip the armrest of the chair. He ran? Looks that way. But we found this on his desk. She slides a printed photograph toward you. It's grainy, taken from security footage. Felton in a dark suit, leaving through a hospital service door, with someone beside him. Someone wearing a white nurse's uniform. You lean forward, heart pounding. That's not Mara, is it? Ortiz shakes her head. We're not sure. Could be. Or could be someone working for him. You study the photo. The face is turned away, but the posture, the hair tied back, the slight slouch, it could be her. Mara would never help him, you whisper. Never. Ortiz's eyes soften. Maybe she's being forced. Maybe she's pretending. Either way, we'll find out. But deep inside, you're not sure anymore. That night, unable to rest, you open the laptop again and scroll through the USB drive's remaining folders. One is labeled Photos. Dozens of pictures appear. Scanned documents, patient IDs, even selfies taken inside the hospital. One photo stops you cold. It's a selfie. Mara smiling beside an older woman in a hospital gown. The same one the guard found on the floor that night. Her mother. The metadata shows it was taken 6 years ago. The next few photos show her mother's chart, stamped deceased, 2019, but the signature confirming the death is Harper's. and in the corner of one page, you spot something that makes your blood run cold. Felton's handwritten initials right beside a note. Transfer assets to foundation account. They'd taken everything from her, too. That's why Mara stayed, why she risked her life. You scroll again. Another image appears. A hospital ID card, half burned, name barely visible. Mara Felton. Felton. The same last name. You lean back in shock. Oh my God. Mara wasn't just his victim, she was his daughter. Your thoughts race, her warning, her desperation, her insider access. She wasn't just exposing them for justice, she was avenging her mother. Everything makes sense now. Why she knew all the codes, why she stayed even after being demoted, why she couldn't walk away. You press your palms to your face. She'd spent years pretending to be just another nurse while building a case against her own father. But if Felton ran and she's missing, then maybe she went with him, or after him. You don't know which truth hurts more. By evening, Ortiz calls again. We traced Felton's phone, last signal near an abandoned property outside town, old clinic. Looks like he might have tried to restart operations there. We're going tonight. I want you to stay put. You hesitate. Detective, please. If Mara's there, it's too dangerous. You agree, but as soon as the call ends, you grab your coat. You can't sit and wait while someone else finishes what Mara started. The address from Ortiz's file sits burned in your mind. You call a taxi, lying about visiting a relative. The driver doesn't ask questions. The road turns from asphalt to gravel, and soon you're staring at a dark building surrounded by fog and trees. No lights, no movement. You pay the driver and step out, heart hammering. The clinic looks like something time forgot. Peeling paint, shattered windows, a half-collapsed sign that once said St. Mary's Research Annex. You push the door open. It groans like something alive. Inside, dust coats everything. But there are footprints, fresh ones, leading deeper inside. You follow them down a narrow hallway until you hear voices. "It's over, Mara," a man says. Felton's voice. "You can't undo what's been done. You killed her," she screams. "You killed Mom, and all those people." Her voice, alive, fierce. You peek around the corner. Felton stands near a table, his hair disheveled, his expensive suit smudged with dirt. Mara faces him, shaking but defiant, holding a stack of papers. Between them lies a small recorder with a red light blinking. Felton sighs. "You think anyone will believe you? You helped me. You were part of it." "I helped you save lives," she spits. "Then I realized you were ending them." He steps closer. "Give me the recorder." "No." His hand moves. Fast. He slaps it from her grip. It clatters across the floor, sliding toward you. You don't think, you just move. You grab the recorder before he does. Felton spins, startled. His eyes widen as recognition hits. "You!" he hisses. "You should have died that night." You back away slowly, clutching the recorder. "And you should have stayed in prison." He lunges. Mara shouts, tackling him from the side. They crash into a metal cabinet. Papers scatter everywhere. You run toward the door, fumbling for your phone, but there's no signal. Felton shoves Mara aside and charges again, eyes wild. Then, sirens. Flashing lights through the broken windows. Ortiz's voice echoing through a megaphone. "Police! Drop everything!" Felton freezes. For a moment, he seems almost relieved, until Ortiz herself storms in with a team, guns raised. "Hands where I can see them!" Felton lifts his hand slowly, smiling that same calm, infuriating smile Harper wore. "Detective Ortiz, always a pleasure." Ortiz nods to an officer. "Get him out of my sight." They cuff him, dragging him toward the exit. As he passes, he looks back at Mara. You think this ends with me? You're wrong. They'll replace me. Mara says nothing. Tears glisten on her cheeks, but her jaw is firm. When they're gone, you hand Ortiz the recorder. It's all here, his confession. Ortiz exhales. Then it's finally over. You look at Mara, who's trembling now, exhaustion replacing fury. She whispers, "I thought I lost you." You shake your head, smiling through tears. You saved me, twice. For a long moment, neither of you speaks. The sirens fade, the fog thins, and for the first time since that night, you both breathe freely. Later, at the station, Ortiz confirms it. Harper and Felton will face charges for fraud, forgery, and involuntary manslaughter. The hospital board is being investigated. The media already has the story. Dr. Duo exploited patients in legal guardianship scheme. You sit in the hallway with Mara beside you. She looks smaller now, fragile, but there's light in her eyes again. "They'll try to silence it," she says quietly. "Then we make noise," you reply. "Together." She smiles faintly. "Mom would have liked you." You take her hand. She'd be proud of you. Outside the window, morning is breaking again. Soft light washing over a city that's just starting to wake up. For once you don't feel like you're surviving. You feel alive. You remember the whisper that started it all. The one that saved you when you didn't even know you were in danger. Don't sign those papers. And you realize that sometimes the smallest warning can change everything. The trial comes faster than anyone expected. 2 months later, you're standing in the county courthouse, the same envelope of evidence in your hands, though now sealed with the district attorney's tag. The building smells of old wood, coffee, and nerves. Reporters crowd the steps outside. Flashbulbs burst like fireworks whenever a new name is mentioned. "The hospital guardianship scandal," one headline calls it. "Angels in white, devils in power." Mara sits beside you on the witness bench. She looks stronger now, her hair cut short, her posture steady. Still, you can feel her shaking. When the bailiff calls the court to order, she exhales like she's been holding her breath for years. The prosecutor begins slowly painting the picture of St. Mary's as a trusted place turned into a trap. He shows the jury the documents you took that night, the audio recordings from the USB, the false death certificates. Each new piece of evidence lands like a hammer. When it's Mara's turn to testify, the room goes silent. She stands, voice trembling only at first. "My father told me we were helping patients who couldn't take care of themselves. I believed him. But then I started seeing transfers, forged signatures. People declared incompetent overnight. When I asked questions, he said I was too emotional. I found my mother's file, realized she'd been his first test case." The courtroom murmurs. Felton sits at the defense table, face expressionless. For the first time, he doesn't look untouchable. He looks small. The prosecutor continues, calling witnesses, patients, relatives, nurses, even the bank manager, Mr. Klein. Each of them tells a piece of your story in different words. The pattern becomes undeniable. Consent forms signed under drugs, mental incapacity rulings without exams, money drained into foundations that never existed. Then it's your turn. You walk to the stand, hands cold despite the heat of the lights. The prosecutor smiles gently. "Tell the court what happened that night." You take a deep breath. "I woke up in the hospital after a car crash. I couldn't remember how I got there. A nurse whispered not to sign any papers. Later, the doctor tried to make me sign forms that would have given him control over everything I own. I didn't know it then, but it was part of a system, one they'd used for years." He nods. "And why didn't you sign?" You think of that moment. The whisper, the fear, the clarity. "Because someone warned me. And because for once I listened to my gut." The defense lawyer paces when it's his turn. Ms. Kaur, your last name. Isn't it true you were under medication and confused? Perhaps you misunderstood what Dr. Harper was asking? You meet his gaze evenly. I know the difference between consent and a trap. He didn't ask for my trust. He demanded it. The lawyer smirks. So this mysterious nurse told you not to sign? Convenient. Yet no one at the hospital recalls her employment. Mara stands from her seat. That's because I erased my own name from their system, she says firmly. Gasps ripple through the room. I hid in plain sight. The judge bangs the gavel for order. You can't help but smile a little. Mara just dismantled their whole narrative in one sentence. The trial stretches for days. Every morning feels like a war, every evening like a wound reopened. But slowly, piece by piece, the truth builds into something unstoppable. The jury listens, wide-eyed. The prosecutor finishes his argument simply, these people weren't confused, they were betrayed. When the verdict finally comes, the courtroom is still, guilty on all counts. Felton doesn't flinch, but his daughter does. Relief, pain, everything she's held inside breaks free in silent tears. You squeeze her hand. Harper, seated behind him, stares at the floor like the ground might swallow him. Outside, cameras flash again. Reporters shout questions. Ms. Gore, your last name. How does it feel to win? You look at the gray sky above the courthouse and say, it's not about winning. It's about being heard. Weeks later, life begins to find its rhythm again. The hospital is under new management. A victim's foundation is set up with the seized funds. Detective Ortiz gets promoted. She sends you postcards sometimes, each one ending with, "Keep fighting the good fight." You and Mara meet often. Sometimes over coffee, sometimes at her mother's grave. She replaced the old, weathered headstone with one that simply reads, Evelyn Felton, loved, remembered, finally free. One afternoon, Mara hands you a small box. What's this, you ask? She smiles. Something we both need. Inside are 2 pens cheap ballpoints, nothing fancy. One blue, one black. For signing things, she says, but only when we choose to. You laugh softly, blinking back tears. Deal. Months later, you receive a letter in the mail. No return address, just your name typed neatly. Inside, a single sheet of paper. To the woman who listened, they can't silence everyone anymore. There are others speaking up now. The system is changing. M. You fold the letter carefully and tuck it beside the photo of you and Mara that Ortiz snapped outside the courthouse. You don't need to ask who sent it. Some stories never end. They just move quietly into the next chapter. That night, you sit by the window with a cup of tea. The city hums below, alive and ordinary. You think about all the faces from that hospital, the forgotten ones, the silenced ones, and you realize how many voices can hide behind a single whisper. You whisper back into the empty room, as if she can still hear, "Thank you, Mara." The kettle clicks, and you smile to yourself. A few months later, an email arrives from a journalist. "We're doing a documentary on the St. Mary's case. Would you be willing to speak on record?" You hesitate, then type back, "Yes, but not as a victim, as someone who survived." When filming begins, the cameras feel strange, intrusive. But when the director asks, "What message do you want people to take from this?" you find the words easily. Always read what they put in front of you, and listen when someone whispers, even if you don't understand why. The documentary airs. Millions watch. People start questioning similar practices in hospitals around the country. Investigations open. Laws change. Your story, Mara's story, ripples outward like circles in still water. You never expected that. You only wanted to survive. But survival turned into something bigger. truth. One quiet evening a year later, you walk past St. Mary's. The building still stands, but the sign has changed. Hope Rehabilitation Center. The lights are warm. Through the windows, you see volunteers helping patients read forms, explaining each paragraph out loud. It feels like a different world. A nurse opens the door to let you in. "Can I help you?" You shake your head. "Just visiting." She smiles. "We get that a lot." You walk down the hallway that once smelled like fear. Now it smells of coffee and flowers. In one room, a patient laughs softly while signing a paper, carefully, understanding every word. You stand there a long time, letting the sound wash over you. Mara appears behind you. "You came." You turn, smiling. "Wouldn't miss it. You did this?" She shrugs. "We all did." The two of you sit on a bench near the window, watching the sunset spill through glass. "Do you ever think about him?" you ask quietly. "Every day," she admits, "but not with hate anymore. Just closure." You nod. "Then that's enough." Outside, children chase each other across the courtyard. Their laughter fills the air, the same place that once held only silence and secrets. Later that night, you return home. On your kitchen table lies the same old clipboard Harper once gave you, the one you kept as a reminder. You pick it up, run your fingers over the faint line where he wanted your signature. Then you pull out one of Mara's pens, and in bold blue ink, right across the page, "I choose my own story." You hang it on the wall above your desk. The camera would fade out there if this were a movie. The survivor by her window, the city safe outside, the whisper that started everything echoing softly in memory. But life doesn't end like movies do. It just keeps going, one decision at a time. And sometimes all it takes to change everything is the courage not to sign.